So it's like I'll pick the pickles off, take a bite, and somehow the pickles are back. It's like, what happened? Because there's so many layers, and sometimes they fuck with you, and like, dude, I don't know, dude. It's a saw trap. It's like literally like.
You want to play a game?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, a show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I am one of your co-hosts, Jesse Kazan.
And I am a cookie thumper.
And he is a cookie thumper. Don't look that up.
I probably shouldn't say that because that's probably, now that I think about it,
there's some.
It's probably like a euphemism for something.
But before we begin, I do want to take a second and thank HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode. HelloFresh can save you much needed time during the hectic holiday season with meals like their loaded baked potato soup. Delicious. I actually had soup for dinner tonight. Soup is always great when it's chilly outside. Use code PODCASTFREE for free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/podcastfree. That is one breakfast item per box as long as your subscription is active. Code PODCASTFREE at HelloFresh.com/podcastfree. Thank you so much to HelloFresh for sponsoring the episode. I love breakfast. What's up, man? How you doing?
Just power washing.
I saw power washing.
Just power washing. Been back on watching the Flurf, the flat Earth videos.
Flat
power
Earth.
Watching. I literally like started. I started the stream the other day with my title was just like change my mind on something. Like I did and it didn't even occur to me until after the fact that it was effectively like the meme with
Steven Crowder or whatever his name is.
Steven Crowder.
Yeah.
I remember I used to unironically watch that guy too.
Yeah, me too.
Before he went kind of crazy, but the whole like insert hot take here, change my mind, kind of thing. I made my title a couple days ago, like I need my mind changed on something, and a bunch of people came in and like nobody had really any hot takes.
Yeah.
I just like when I was in Texas, I think I said last time I spent a bunch of time with Frankie and Calvin. And we just had some really good conversations, and it was like thoughtful, engaging conversations about things that are like remotely related to any of the stuff that we do every day.
Yep.
That are like even a little controversial.
Yeah.
It's just like
dude,
it gave me energy.
It is a thing. Like it is such an important thing. It's such an important part of life that I've been feeling that too. I've been missing it. Like it's so funny. I'm pretty naturally introverted, especially when it comes to like my motivation to do something. I'd always just rather like chill at home. Like if we're going like parties stress me out, but going to hang out with 2 or 3 friends, I'm like super excited for, you know what I mean? And then you get into streaming and it's like, it's so fascinating that like, my wife was the very extroverted one. She's home with the kids and I was the very introverted one. And I'm like talking to hundreds of people, you know what I mean? And so it's actually been something we've had to really kind of be intentional about because my tank is always at empty for like social stuff because I talk all day to a million people and I love it. But like I start at a half a tank already compared to where my wife is as an extrovert and I'm always on empty. But it's so different, like you said, to be across from a human being and like talk about stuff because you cultivate, obviously, you cultivate kind of like a pathway on Twitch where you're like, we're not going to talk about that. Not because I don't want to talk about that. I actually do want to talk about that, but this just isn't the forum, right? People are going to come in. I'm not going to understand, whatever. So to have a place where you can like engage with somebody and talk about things you wouldn't talk about on stream, it's just like, dude, I've been missing that too. Like just that actual human connection. Cool.
Yeah, and for a long time, it was really hard for me to have any kinds of complicated conversations because I was too ADHD and unable to be focused. So like I would have these ideas and I would try to go through these ideas and then messages would be popping up in chat and I would constantly be like, I would be reading them and would get distracted when like I think like the more I've just like reflected on things and seen other content creators and like taken like mental notes I found over the last couple of days having some of these conversations, I was able to just kind of monologue and just not read chat.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I think that there's like always a part of me that was like, when you're talking with someone, there's the whole like you see them nodding their head, you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that they're
yeah.
paying attention. Without chat, it's always like I'll talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and then I'll look, and then like it'll be like cricket, cricket. You know what I mean? And I'll be
Yeah.
like, "You guys following so far?" And then like wait 10 seconds, and then one or two people say, "Yep, yep," and it's like when there's probably 80 people that are like waiting for me to continue,
Yeah.
but you don't see that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I kind of just like a little switch flipped, I think in the last like week, where I'm like, I want to try this a little bit more
That's
and
cool.
just talk and just talk and get my point out, and like not, it's weird to do that without any amount of feedback.
Yes. It's like it's a retraining of how to communicate because like you said when you're in person you're kind of like waiting for those cues and if you don't see those cues that's a cue for me, at least for me to just like dive bomb the conversation. If I'm like starting a story and I'm just getting nothing, I'll just be like, "And that was fun. How's your day?" Like I'll just dive bomb it, right? But in chat you're not going to get that, but you have to retrain that that doesn't mean that people aren't paying attention. You almost have to like retrain to like just finish the thought and
Yeah.
then let people respond, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and you either you get the cues around people who are like, you can see they're like,
Yeah.
versus sometimes they're, like you realize you're not making
Yeah,
sense
yep.
or your point isn't clear. And I think like, yeah, at some point having just like the confidence to just say, I'm just gonna talk as if a bunch of people are sitting there listening, and which
Yeah.
is just weird. It's a weird, it almost feels
Yeah.
like egotistical to be like, people are just sitting here and they're a captive audience and they're just gonna listen to what I have to
Yeah,
say and I
yeah.
just can say it. It's weird. But yeah. And then another thing, have we ever talked about, and this is actually an interesting thing because when me and Frankie and Calvin had this exact same conversation, and I
Okay.
think this comes up a lot. Did we ever talk about like the meaningful distinction between introvert and extrovert that I think for a long time it
I
I
think we
didn't,
talked about this a long time ago, but I don't remember.
yeah, how like I don't remember how I heard it, when I heard it, whatever, but it was really interesting how basically forever, and I think a lot of people think of it this way, how an introvert is someone who's like shy and an extrovert is someone who's outgoing, and
Yeah.
how that is like, it's not,
Those
it's
can
it's
be
it's
true.
incomplete.
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
Whereas, in many ways I consider myself an extrovert because I can just go and talk to anyone. I'll randomly say something to someone
Yeah.
in line at Starbucks, like, now granted I also like am good at like understanding social cues, and I'm not one of those weird people who just talks
Correct.
and like keeps talking and keeps
Correct.
talking, but like I'm not afraid to talk to people, or
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of being on stage or the center of attention,
Yep.
or whatever. But at the same time, so the meaningful distinction that I heard was that extroverts are people who, when they engage with people, they get energy, they
Yes.
become energized.
Yes.
Or introverts, they get drained by it.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
like when I
And
have
that
these conversations, I love it for the time I'm in it, and then I'm like I'm just
yes. That's
dead.
so, and that's why, dude, people are always like, there's no way you're an introvert. You know what I mean? Like, I'm also very much so a person in real life, or even, dude, I mean, I wish I had the VODs of the early streams, but like in real life, if I start a new job, who I am for the first month, like, is radically different than who I am a year later. And not even just like comfort and competency at the job, but I worked for like 4 or 5 years at Apple, and I used to have people come up to me and be like, "Dude, I thought you were a completely different person when you started working here." Like they would be compelled to tell me because when I get comfortable, I get so. But for streaming, like I have people all the time be like, "There's no way." Like anytime I say that, like, "There's no way you're an introvert. You're good at talking to people, or you're like super loud, or like you'll be energetic and like yell with Valiant." And I'm like, "That's not it. It's when this ends, I'm dead." But if my wife gets home from like 6 hours with her friends, girls' night, she's like on crack cocaine, like ready to like tackle a job. You know what I mean? And that is the meaningful distinction. Some extroverts are shy, some introverts are loud, but it's like exactly
Yep.
how a interaction can like energize you or drain your energy is huge. Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, I don't know what that was
I
relevant
don't
to, but
know.
there
I
you
don't even
go.
know how we got there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, just like you saying that you miss talking with people in real life and the types of conversations that we're not used to having in chat.
Right.
And I just
Yeah.
latched
No.
onto that because I feel that. Because like TwitchCon was a big one for me. Like us just hanging out, like talking for like a few hours at the end of a night or whatever when we got back. Like it had been so long since I had done that. I'm just like so routine. Stream, family time, sleep. Stream, family time, sleep. And it's just like those moments kind of wake you up to be like, damn, I need to go hang out with friends more often. You know what I mean? Like I need to do stuff. Yep.
Yeah, and I have like this craving right now. I say this knowing how cringy it sounds, but it's like not I'm not intending to. But like I just want to like debate someone. I want to like argue,
Yeah, I
like
feel that.
and not like argue, but
Oh
like
yeah.
I would love for just to I just want to engage in a like something that I
Yeah.
have to think and I get my challenged and like
Yeah.
I just wish
It's
I the more and more I get jealous
yeah.
of like Destiny's like stream. Like what he does is he pulls up like Factorio and then just sits on Discord and
Oh
talks
yeah.
with people and just like that's what I like that's how I can like see me being
Yeah.
interested in
Yeah.
like streaming
Power wash
4
sim,
years from
just
now.
like ripping with somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of these days when someone comes in a chat and if they seem remotely intellectually honest and maybe we disagree, I'm gonna be like hop into Discord and let's have a
Yeah,
talk.
you should, dude.
And like I've never done that before, so it could be really weird. But I really am kind of like tempted to just like rip the band-aid off and see.
Yeah.
Because honestly, when we did that the other day, we now of course this is something that I wanted to talk about just because it was on my mind at the time. And but you know we had gotten and we won't get into it here, but gotten into some of the more like social issues around like trans rights and kinds of stuff like that. And I'm like, I want to share some of my thoughts about this.
Yeah.
And like my viewership like doubled in like the 30 minutes I was talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was literally like one person in chat who like disagreed and were kind of a degen about it.
Mm-hmm.
But even then it was like I don't know. I feel like people would be entertained and also educated and learn some things, and I think people would like it. And yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
Well, we'll see.
Dude, I think it'd be super interesting. Especially because like that stuff, like so often, once again, I feel like we're teetering on the edge, not to get super, into it, but like, you mentioned Steven Crowder because you did the whole change my mind thing, and you were like, I unironically used to listen to him, and like I did too. And it's funny because like that intellectually honest debate plus content often means like extrapolated out to its logical conclusion is often sensationalized nonsense, right? Like so many people that start that way, because when you add the content component, when you add the content to the recipe, some part of the monkey brain for most people ends up going, we'll lean into that point a little bit more. Or I dunked on that guy, make him feel bad a little bit because that's what generate clips and that's views and it ping pongs back and forth. So a lot of the stuff that even maybe started really intellectually honest, I feel like kind of floats away from that. So, but I think that's what real people are more addicted to. You know what I mean? Is the real conversation, because it's a much more real template to like learn how to argue, learn how to disagree, learn how to learn. And it often just drifts away from that, so that would be super cool to see you do, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. And then you like fast forward like a year from now and I've got like a billion subscribers and I'm like a complete psychopath, like gone way too far one way or the other. And now I'm like a
shirtless, bald, cigar, whiskey.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude. Oh yeah, dude. I'm talking about like I'm purple pilling everyone and like
oh man. Getting his T checked. The T levels.
I'm like literally learning. I just recently like started to learn about all these like pill movements, right? Like, are you black pilled? Are you red pilled? Oh my God, everything. It's just so cringy.
Yeah,
dude, all of it.
It's brutal. Oh
it's
my God.
Top. Oh my God, top V.
Top
LOL.
V.
Oh my God, dude.
Yo, top V. Oh my God. That's so good.
The Veritasosphere.
Yep. Yep. Cobra toss.
Listen. Do you want 110 trillion cookies? I'll show you how.
Listen. Veritas is the only way. Oh my god. Well,
where the fuck is Arena?
Let's get this out of the way. God damn it.
No. I'm mad.
Dude,
legitimately, I was excited, dude. I was legitimately excited today. And then I checked Twitter and didn't see anything on Twitter, and me rolling up into your stream today,
bro.
That was me. My resub message was I was lashing out.
Yeah, dude. You probably saw it, but like, did you see the look I got when I was hearing that TTS
for
before
2 seconds?
I saw it was you, dude.
Oh, that's I was praying that you had TTS. I couldn't remember. I'm like,
yeah,
does he have TTS?
Bro, I was like, holy Christ, I'm not ready for this. Yeah, man, dude, I don't know. Now, here's the deal. Here's the deal, because there are already people furiously typing in the comments. I know. Like, they never said it was going to be the 14th, which is true. They never said that.
Okay,
nice guy did, and he
is BSG.
He should be banned because he lied to us. No,
agreed.
He
told me privately, 100%,
1,000,000%.
Seriously. You know, he like literally, he was like, yeah, it's 100%. In Texas, that's what he said. That should prove to all of you that none of us know what's going on.
Nobody knows, dude. All day today, people were like, I know you know. I was like, dude, I wouldn't be nearly as depressed as I am right now if I knew. Like,
and because here's the problem. The moment that anybody says that, BSG could still just, like, as soon as it was leaked, they might have just decided, okay, just to spite everybody,
literally,
we're going to push it back X number of days.
But like,
and that's always a possibility, so no one ever knows.
For sure. But here's what happened, right? I thought, we talked last week, I was hoping it was going to be the 7th, you know, XYZ, whatever. And then what happened was when they updated the launcher, like we told this last week, everybody started like hacking the launcher and modding the launcher and getting the install. And at one point in the inspect element in the code of the Arena site, there was a message that was like, congratulations, you've been selected for, you know, whatever, the beta testing on the 14th. And then people were finding that in the code in the launcher, and people were finding that here. And then like emails were getting leaked, like official emails from Battlestate being like, yada, yada, yada. But it was never, and I said this, right? Like, all that evidence definitely doesn't mean it's 100%. So like, yes, there is some ammunition on the side of like, well, everybody, you know, hyped themselves up and they said it was going to be the 14th, but it wasn't done by BSG. So you guys just let yourself get got by BSG all the time. Sure, whatever. But what they did say was that it was for sure going to be ready by fall of last year. What they did say was that it was for sure going to be ready early December. What Nikita has said every single time he's been asked in the past 6 months is sooner than you think. It's so soon. It's ready. We're just polishing it. It's sooner than you think. So yes, I'll give you, you know, Trolley Pants 69, that they didn't say it was the 14th, but like, everything they have said has been wrong every time. And every time they don't give dates, but they do give you this, like, it's sooner than you think. It's so soon, guys, which is like almost worse in my opinion. And it's just like, so I just don't think that there's a world where the people wouldn't, like, where the players wouldn't rather just a date and then a tweet saying we're having internal struggles, we're trying to get the most recent build up, we're gonna have to push the date. Like, that's better than soon, man. Sooner than you think. I know you're excited. Sooner than you think. And then the devs, like, Dimitri's like trolling, dude. He's tweeting like, I bet you guys hate me, don't you? And I'm like, dude, shut up.
Yes.
Yes. So like, it's just been frustrating, man. Like, And here's the thing, when we say it's frustrating, a lot of people immediately go to like, well, you're a streamer, you're a content creator, whatever. Like, it's true. My personal experience is like, it's December, it's Christmas. Two big things are happening this month: the arena and wife. And I want to, as a part of my job, make sure that I'm available to do and create content around those times, which makes planning things for Christmas pretty rough. But even if you take me out of it, even if you take content creators out of it, the reality is that even though I'm stressing about like when it's coming out because I'm trying to have Christmas with my family, even that, I'm still in a better position than everybody else. Like the real people who get frustrated by this are the casual players. Like, do you know how many people took off work today because everybody in the community was like, it's got to be the 14th, right? Like, that's
on them.
I mean, I'm not saying that you should take off work. But I'm saying it's like people are trying to figure out when it is so that they can enjoy it as well. No matter what day of the week it is, I might not be able to play all day, but like I stream 6 days a week, right? So I'm going to be able to play it. So it's just like, I don't know. It's just weird. And then the other thing is like, I just don't know. I haven't had anybody, I'm not saying there isn't one, but I'm just saying I haven't had anybody explain like a reason that doing it this way is better. Now, they've done it with everything. They've done it with the wipes. They've done it with everything. But this feels so different. This is like the launch of a game, right? Like the launch of a new game. It just feels weird from a marketing perspective too, to like not tell anybody when your game comes out and just hope that when it does, people are going to play it.
I almost feel like so here's the thing. Like, look at it this way though. The longer that they go every day, more people are talking about it and there's more anticipation. If you if you're on that side of things,
yeah,
that you and I would be like worried. At least I would be like self-conscious that like the longer I wait, people are just going to move on.
Yeah.
That's what I would be thinking.
Yeah.
But from our side, we are all just waiting here with bated breath. And more, there's more hype and more talk, and no press is bad press, and it's more like, if you talk about the excitement, the frustration and excitement both go way up.
Yeah. But
so I don't know, it's like genius but also toxic.
But here's the thing, I think
if it's intentional.
Yeah. That's a big question. I think that though is a smaller amount of people than we think. Like, yeah, everybody that freaking lives and breathes the Tarkov subreddit and Tarkov Twitter drama, we are getting more frustrated, which kind of, we don't want to admit it to ourselves, gets us more excited, and that goes up. But like we talk about all the time with like events and how like they'll put out an event and they'll tweet about it. And we've talked before about like how many hundreds of thousands of players don't follow on Twitter or don't read it every day. They're going to miss something. So I think to the large majority of the player base that didn't even know, it was like, it's weird to not have a release date. And then the second half of that point is, I think they're pretty clearly trying to acquire new customers with this game, a new audience. There's obviously going to be overlap in the Venn diagram, but like, I think they want new gamers in. And so to not only market your game, but to not even tell anybody when it's coming out, it's just interesting. Now I know it's going to be in waves and it's a beta test and not everyone's going to be able to play it, but it's just an interesting thing. Once again,
well, they are marketing. We're talking about it.
Well, yeah, they are marketing because they're doing like they did TwitchCon and they're at DreamHack right now and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just like, for every argument that this way is good, I just feel like there's a stronger argument to be made for here's a release date. And once again, if they
that assumes that they are ready and know.
Yeah.
And what my gut tells me is that they are really, really close and are like, they could have pulled the trigger at any point and probably are running into last minute headaches that like, if we were planning on like any of the major big software products that I worked on, like when I was in the robotics industry, the software that I was working on was being used by millions of people every day that spend lots of money, that if we pushed out something that was bad, it would be bad. There'd be like tech articles written about it. And if we were planning on releasing something on a Thursday and we ran into an issue, like someone might bring up something that would bring them pause at our 10 o'clock meeting on Thursday, chances are it's not going out until Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because Thursday, we talk about all day what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And then on Friday, we implement whatever the fix is, and we test it all day. Usually a QA guy stays late. And then Monday, we do a double check, sanity check, and then we push it out Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like one question can turn into 4 days, which might have been yesterday.
For sure. But
so it's like, I just don't know.
For sure. But had you, up until that point for the past 6 months, been pushing push notifications to your audience, being like, we're so close, that's the difference.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Is that like,
because the marketing department is separate.
Yeah.
And, you know, and everything points to the fact that they were planning on the 14th.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
once again, I'm not saying that they shouldn't delay the game. I'm saying I genuinely think assigning a date, a target date, and then moving it with clear communication is a better whole than soon for a year. Because it was supposed to come out fall of last year, guaranteed, based on what Nikita said in a podcast in the summer of last year. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's like, what, like, because that's what I say. Every time I'm like, dude, I wish they would give us a date. People are like, well, what if they don't know a date? It's like, okay, if their internal target date was December 14th, then they should have made the date January 31st. And then even if they still need more time, then they can still say more time. I'm not saying like my saying like, I wish they would give us a date isn't that their internal target date. They should just tell us that it's that. Like they can build in the leeway time and they can delay. Like I'm fine with all those things. It's just weird how.
But you're also reasonable.
Very true.
No matter what they say, they'll get on. So
yeah,
I think
for sure.
it's like it's almost a defense mechanism at this point. That now they're not going to say anything.
It is.
They're not going to say anything, and they're going to meme, and they're going to do whatever they're going to do whatever they're going to do anyway.
Yeah,
and they're just going to meme because it's the internet.
Honestly, that's honestly my guess. Like I legitimately think it's a defense mechanism, and I think that it's just like a rejection. I think that they like, because that's the other thing too, is like, even if it just feels weird to be like getting the tweets of like, oh, I bet you guys are so excited, or like, I bet you guys are so mad at me right now, or like all that kind of stuff. Like, that's just weird to me, man. And so, to be honest with you, I think you're right. Like, I don't think it's a reasonable take. I think they would get 10 hate units by just giving a date and moving it. I think they're getting 50 hate units by never doing it. I don't think they see a difference. Like, I don't think they can even quantify that they would actually, that it wouldn't be as toxic if they were just more open and honest about it. So they just take the trolley method and they're just like rejecting it and just being like, we don't want to say anything. We don't ever want to say anything. We're just going to do whatever. Every single time Nikita gets a microphone, he says it's sooner than you think. And they just like, I don't know. It's just weird. Once again, this is not the Jesse Kazam knows exactly what they should be doing segment. But as we say many times, I don't think I have to know exactly what they should be doing to be able to criticize the fact that they said it was going to be early December. It's not. They said, like, and once again, it's okay if dates move, just like the communication around that. Like, hey, we wanted it to be early December. We're having issues. We're hoping to release it soon. Please stick with us, or, you know, whatever. Like, it's just the complete. And once again, I know there's going to be a million comments on this of like, oh, BSG bad at communication, big whoop. Why are you even talking about it? And to you, I say, shut up. That's what I say. But it's just, it's just interesting, and it's frustrating, and it's like, I'm still excited for the game, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this is the weirdest method to do this. You know what I mean? Since it's,
I would be surprised and impressed if it was anything other than nonsense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. I get that. But boy, is it hard to play Tarkov right now. Because it's just like, yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know. So they're at DreamHack though, which is a oh, that was the event you were maybe going to.
Yeah, that was the one I was replaced at.
Wow. I'm trying to think. They've got a tournament. They've got like an actual like esports arena.tarkov.com/esports about DreamHack, and there's a page where it has like a live leaderboard. It's got like the teams that are competing and the schedule and the tournament rules and like the brackets and stuff like that. So I don't know what they're gonna do because like it was supposed to be a 3-day tournament, but apparently one of the teams, Axel's team, like they couldn't get their visas in time, so they like just couldn't get to Germany. Like they're not gonna be able to be in Germany this weekend. So there were 6 teams. Now there's 5, and I don't know what they're gonna be able to do. But I mean, it's like Virtus Pro, Ascend, Gamer Legion. These are like real, I mean, esports orgs sending teams in. So so I mean, like that will be cool. I feel like what we'll probably get to see more of. They did that thing. The reason why I thought it was the 7th was because Axel went to that thing in St. Petersburg, and they did another event where they played a bunch.
Yeah.
And in that, they played another map. They played the stadium map where it was like literally in the middle of a football stadium. They had set up like a fob. So there's like shipping containers and medical tents and all sorts of stuff. And then that was one of the maps for Arena that we hadn't seen yet. So watching some of that footage was pretty cool. It seems like one of the bigger maps. It's got some pretty cool aspects to it. So I'm sure we'll see more of that map, some more of the other maps maybe. It's called the Head Eyes Showdown, and it's supposed to start tomorrow.
Lol.
At like 11 GMT +1. I don't know what that means.
Bro, you don't know what that means. I was just talking about the first ever software bug that I ever solved as a junior engineer. My first 3 days on the job.
Yeah.
It was an issue with time zones. And so GMT is Greenwich Mean Time. Have you ever heard of UTC? Like Universal Time Code. Yeah, so that's literally like we're Eastern Time.
Yeah,
we're 5 hours, so we're UTC -5.
Yeah, okay.
So GMT +1 is one time zone over from Greenwich Mean Time, so that would be 6 hours ahead of us. And I was literally just pulling. I pulled up.
So
MS
UTC
Paint.
and GMT are the same?
Yes.
Then why are those your names?
Because I don't know that UTC is.
Is it one name, one direction? Is it like GMT plus or UTC minus?
No, so GMT is like a time zone. UTC has to do with like times, standards.
So they're kind of interchangeable, which makes them confusing. Because
I mean, effectively they are. You can think about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like UTC isn't a time zone.
Yeah.
But you can think about it roughly equivalent to
so like UTC
GMT.
isn't a time zone, but it starts somewhere and like, you know what I mean, and then you go plus or minus to delineate the difference. GMT is a time zone.
I'm gonna Google it.
Like I could say EST -1. You could figure out what that means, but that's not really a real thing. Like that's not where you would start. But
wait. I mean, yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like nobody does. All I'm just saying is that it's weird to say we're UTC -5 and that's GMT +1, so they're 6 hours ahead. It's like, why not just say that's UTC +1 and we're UTC -5, or we're GMT -5 and that's GMT +1? I don't care. It starts at
all
6
of them,
hours
but all of
ahead
them
of us.
are relevant. All of them are relevant. I think it just depends. Like they're kind of interchangeable, but
yeah, I'm sure to someone they're relevant. It's just interesting.
What is the difference? Okay, wait. GMT stands for Greenwich Mean Time. It is the mean solar time observed at the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, London. UTC means Coordinated Universal Time, and it's the primary central time standard by which the world synchronizes clock and time. You ever heard, like timestamps?
Mm-hmm.
Like a timestamp is the number of seconds, like generally the epoch time is the number of seconds since it's either one of these two moments. It's either December 31st, 1969 at 11:59:59.
Nice.
Or January 1st, 1970 at like midnight. it's 1 second off. I don't know what the what it is officially or what the distinction is. It's never been important, but that's effectively the number of seconds since that moment,
time.
and that is UTC. And that's how like everybody handles time zone stuff. And yeah. But although many English speakers misuse it as a synonym, UTC is the successor to the GMT. GMT divides the world into time zones in comparison to the time standards. It's uncomplicated, but basically what that means is that you could have a place within a certain time zone, but their UTC might be different from that. UTC does not account for daylight savings, while GMT does.
That's interesting. It's like a viable reason to use one or the other.
Yeah.
Well,
but how both work are pretty much the same, regardless of whether you're tracking. There you go.
Tomorrow at GMT +1. So you figure out what time that is to where you are. GMT
6 hours
+1.
if it's
and I say tomorrow, savings. But it's today -3 because this is going to happen Monday.
You're a piece of. It's also next week -7. So like, if we're just going to talk about everything as relative, is that what relativity was about?
Yeah,
I think Einstein was onto something, dude.
100%.
I'm 9 feet -3, Dave, if you think about it.
Easy. But yeah, so they're doing that thing. It'll be cool. Dude, I hope to Christ that by the time this episode airs, it's just live. But if it's not, then I don't know. Dude, it was like, it was so bad because it was like, obviously, everybody's asking when Arena is, and my stream title, like, I don't know, like what's happening, and then people just kept asking and everything. So then on my when I'm out of raid, I pull up a screen now where like I combine the YouTube chat and the Twitch chat so like people can read each other's messages. Mm-hmm. And so up at the top, big across the screen, it's like, I don't know when Arena's releasing. And dude, and it's just like, it's just chaos because people still come in and ask. And then you get like the chatters who get more mad at people asking than you are mad. Like, I'm sure you've encountered that with the wipe. Like people asking with the wipe and you're just in a flow state of being like, I'm not sure, like, and then somebody's like, stop asking about the wipe. And you have to be like, dude, chill. Like, you know what I mean? It's annoying, but chill. And so people are losing their minds at other people who are losing their minds, and nobody's reading the stream title of the giant text on the screen. And then people are getting confused because people are like, I thought the wipe was today. And I'm like, oh, my sweet summer child. No, the wipe's not today. And then people will be like, did you just say the wipe is today? They weren't listening. They heard wipe. And dude, I'm like, shoot me in the face. Like, it's just going insane. It just spirals down forever into a black hole that forms and encompasses me and Battlestate Games. And then the only other thing that like happened was Tuesday, Tarkov went down for like 9 hours. And it just like went down and we were all like, this is it. And
yeah. And they were just having like issues with like Cloudflare or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. And it was crazy because the Arena site, arena.tarkov.com, was down, but escape from tarkov.com was up and functioning.
Oh my god.
Dude, and so we were like, it's happening. And like I was freaking out. And then 2.5 hours went by and I was like, I don't think they're releasing Arena. And I just played the finals a bunch and then I hopped off stream and then like 6 hours later it was still down. It was crazy. So yeah. But I mean that's it. That's the Tarkov news. That's freaking no new event. The down the rabbit hole stuff didn't lead to anything. Bosses are still 100% spawn chance, which they have been for a while. We talked about that on the episode last week, that it ended with them just making bosses 100% spawn chance. They're still 100% spawn. Tarkov is pain. I think that's it. That's the stuff. That's the stuff. Dude, I think I am a part of some like dystopian Black Mirror guerrilla marketing from the burger chain Red Robin. Dude.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I need to know what
Yeah, because somebody
this is
asked.
all about. I
Dude.
didn't exactly get it.
The other day, somebody came in my chat and they were like, first time message. And it was like, yo, have you tried the guacamole bacon burger from Red Robin? I was like, no, man. They don't say anything else. The next day, different account, first time message. Yo, have you tried the guacamole bacon burger from Red Robin? And I was like, nope. In my head, I was like, man, a lot of people like this burger. Okay. Dude, 6 days in a row. It has to be somewhere between 4 and 6 days in a row. Today, I look over my chat. First time message. Yo, have you tried the guacamole? And I was like, chat, what's happening? And we just talked about this Mountain Dew thing where like Mountain Dew is using AI and like scanning people's channels. And I was like, dude, what's happening? What's happening? I haven't tried the sandwich. And then the guy like responded a few other times. Finally, it was the first time the dude's ever responded. And then like 30 minutes later, guac bacon _ burger _ Red Robin subscribes tier 1. And
I was there for that.
And at this point, it's like people are just changing their names and memeing around.
And the account was from like 2017.
Yeah, dude, yes, dude. Yeah. Account created 2017. Dude. So like, yes, it's a meme now and people are asking, but I am telling you, like 6 days in a row, a first time account has asked if I've tried this burger. And I just like immediately went to this like Black Mirror, like they're botting and just view botting and like typing in people's chats.
I mean, it is a real thing.
Subliminally market over long periods of time to be like, babe, you want to go out? And she's like, yeah, what are you feeling? And I'm like, dude, I need to try this guacamole bacon burger from freaking Red Robin.
Holy dude. I mean,
dude, it's just so weird.
You ruined my month. Like, because now I'm, see, like I've historically, this is like one of my, like, these are the invasive thoughts I have. When someone comes in and they like mention like, have you played X game that I've never heard of and it's a first time chatter, I'm like, I just instantly assume it's like the guy who made the game on a sock puppet account trying to sell his dog indie game. Because I'm so like jaded and cynical about like all of this stuff. Have you heard of, you know, whatever?
For sure.
But like we can't know anymore. Like we can't know anymore. If the things, we live in a dystopian.
We do. And it was just first time chatter every time. No one ever said anything else. And I was just like, bro, what's happening? Because first time chatter isn't a name change. First time chatter is like, that's a new account. You know what I mean? And I wish I
probably a lurker. There was the most high effort lurker ever.
Dude.
You should have done the watch time. I don't know. I wonder if that would have worked for that person to see if they had, like,
I should have. And I wish I had gone back and checked the like account age of all the accounts that had asked the question. But dude,
now you say that, and we're talking about dystopian future. While we were having that conversation, I had Chat GPT make you remember that song Maria from Santana? She's a mommy of a West Side Story.
Yeah.
And I had Chat GPT basically do an arena, like come up with lyrics for it, and I corrected it on a few things. And yeah, like that's what I've been doing with my time while having this conversation.
Wow.
So, like, we're talking about a dystopian future, and here I am having Chat GPT. I that's the one thing I do better than Chat GPT still is make parody songs, because it's not just about slant rhyming words, but really the key to these parody songs is it's you need to rhyme and have the same cadence of the original songs. You can't just have your own new
Yes.
rhyme.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
it needs to rhyme within itself and within
And
into the
yeah,
original.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's like a different song.
Yeah.
ChatGPT isn't good at that.
Did you see the whole like Grok thing? So like Grok is like the Twitter
I
AI.
clicked on it and it looked like I had to upgrade to Premium Plus. So I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
I
I'm
haven't done
already
it.
paying.
But what I saw was I just saw some stuff where like people were posting screenshots where they asked it a question and the response was like,
Have you tried the new guac hamburger?
no, the response was like, we can't answer that question. It's against our terms and services at OpenAI. And like apparently like a bunch of the information that they had trained Grok on was information posted to the internet that had been generated by ChatGPT. So it had scooped up a bunch of messages that people had posted where it was like we can't answer that, it's against OpenAI. But it was just funny. I saw a few of those where it was screenshots of someone asking something of Grok and the response was it's against OpenAI's terms of service. And people were like, "Oh, they stole the code or whatever." And it's not. It's just that like they're training it.
Well,
now that there's so much AI generated stuff on the internet, what's new AI is being trained on is stuff that's been generated by AI, and that's growing ever more dystopian. Yeah. Yep.
Every time is a flat circle. Everything overlaps with everything else. There's like 97 things that all overlap here with all the other I can't get away from any of this stuff. The Billy Mitchell video.
Yeah.
Okay. The intro was a heavily modified Chat GPT generated like meme.
Yeah.
The whole like Billy Mitchell in the annals of video game history, right? And one of the comments on Twitter to like one of my posts was basically someone said something along the lines of like they just started off with like LOL, comma, your whole script, and then in parentheses, or at least the intro. So you mean 4 hours out of a 4 minutes out of a 4 hour video. Yeah. Or the intro at least was written using AI or ChatGPT or whatever. And that might have been in response to my joke tweet where I was quote unquote apologizing to H Bomber guy for quote unquote plagiarizing the length of his video.
Yeah.
Because his video was 3 hours and 51 minutes long about plagiarism, and my video came out the day after that was 3 hours and 51 minutes long.
Yeah.
And just how that overlaps with like literally my video plus AI plus and then people were giving him like, dude, there's nothing wrong with like doing a meme David Attenborough like Chat GPT generated thing for what was essentially I hired a voice actor, wasn't David Attenborough to do
yeah.
It's like a nothing burger, right? And then he was like, I wasn't even like criticizing, like, why are you guys being so toxic? And it's like when you start something off with LOL, you had this written by AI.
Yeah.
It's like, how would you expect that to come off?
Yep.
And
I was joking, guys.
He was trying to act like, oh, well, you guys need to like take a step back and think about like the tone of your messages. He was saying that. And I'm like, it's all just AI plus Billy Mitchell video plus dystopian future plus lack of communication on the internet plus
guacamole plus Mountain Dew AI.
Well, and then the next message he said was, have you tried the new Red Robin guac burger? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then my internet shut down for the day and the cops are at my door and I don't understand what's going on anymore, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird
that Santana song Maria started playing and I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
It's a weird world that we live in, bro. Holy Christ.
I don't even like guacamole, so like I'm not even really upset about it.
I love guacamole, but when I make guacamole, like store-bought guacamole or like Taco Bell guacamole, like I don't know about all that. Do you like avocados?
No. I feel like if I liked avocados, I'd like guacamole.
No free
right?
Shavacado?
Isn't that just like guacamole? I mean, isn't guacamole just avocados like mashed up with like a few other ingredients?
Yeah, but guacamole tastes very different than a plain avocado.
No, it doesn't. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't like avocados, so
Yeah.
that's like kind of
like
the...
I liked guacamole before I liked avocados because it's like heavily salted, very limey, cilantro, tomato, onion, and then you can use the avocado as more of just it's more of like a binder to it. I'm trying to think of another like recipe that's like that where you may not like
I hate
one
tomatoes,
of the
but I love ketchup and pasta sauce and all those other things.
Yeah,
But
do you
like,
like
I
salsa at all? Maybe not
I
chunky,
like
but like
I like salsa, but it needs to have, like, if it's finely chopped up and there's like a
yeah.
lot of other stuff. If it's just
Yes.
like massive tomato chunks,
Yeah, not like
it needs to
pico,
have
but like salsa. Yeah.
it needs to have an appropriate um what do you call
Like
it,
accoutrements.
distribution
Yeah.
of other things. And I also, like, I will take like a massive thing
Yeah,
of...
like a dip.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, I'll...
So it's kind of like
yeah,
that. I mean, obviously a
right
little bit
proportion.
different because the proportion of avocado is higher, but similar to like that where like you need tomato to make salsa, but it's the sum of its parts that makes it so good. That's kind of what guacamole was. It's a little bit skewed more towards the other end, but yeah.
Yeah, oh my god, that just reminds me. I had, when we were in Texas, we were at the bar with just a bunch of Tarkov folks, and they had to order. I don't know. No, this is a Texas thing, but it was like, I don't know if it was whiskey. I think it might have been whiskey, which I like whiskey. I like pretty much every liquor. Vodka is my least favorite, actually. Don't suka at me. Wow, actually, I wasn't intending for that to work, but like, bliat ends with at, so it actually kind of works.
Don't bully at me.
Don't bliat. That was unintentional. I was like, I couldn't think of a thing to substitute.
I'm glad we came back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't bully at me.
Don't bully at me. But what we had, and there's like, I think it's a video on Twitter somewhere. It makes it look like I'm a when it comes to alcohol, but I almost threw up because it was like whiskey chased with a thing of pickle juice, and I hate pickles, dude. I hate pickles. I used to be able to eat like the sweet, like small
like the
crunchy
bread and
pickles
butter
when I was
pickles.
little. I think that's what they are. I just haven't had them in like 20 years. Pickleback, is that what it's called?
Pickleback.
But like, I hate pickles. So the pickle juice, first of all, there was like a almost like a seed or something in it so it was like, I literally I took the shot, and then I thought to myself, no, I'm gonna leave a little bit extra in the shot glass of the Jameson so that I could pickle juice and then chase it with the Jameson.
Yeah,
because I was like, I just hate, dude. It was like salt water. It was like lukewarm salt water. I don't understand.
I love pickles, but I hate, like, I'm not a pickle juice drinker. I would literally vomit trying to just take a sip, like a shot of pickle juice. I couldn't have done that. I love pickles. I despise whiskey or bourbon. So that would have been my nightmare. Dude, that's a pickleback. Clever name. I like the name. But why? Why? Ew.
Yeah, no. I was...
Dip your fries in pickle juice?
I hit the pickle juice, and I had to like get up and walk around and like that.
Dude.
Like, I just like, oh god, it literally tasted as if you took like ocean water in a shot glass, and then you just like
put bourbon
left
in
it out on like the counter, so it was lukewarm. That's what it was, just salty, gross ass.
Oh.
And that's the one thing that ruins my burgers, dude. There was one day where like there was like 94 pickles on my Big Mac.
Yeah.
When I've always just get a Big Mac with no pickles.
Yeah.
And there was like 900 of them, and I bit into it, and literally it's been like 5 years. Every time I think about ordering a Big Mac, it's ruined by the thought of like, I don't trust Big Macs anymore.
Yeah.
I can't trust.
And pickles are
I just assume it's a pickle trap.
Yeah. And the thing about, like, I'm a big like just pick it off guy, but pickles are even though I love pickles, I can understand that pickles are kind of the exception. Like, if I have a pizza, I don't like black olives, I'll just pick the black olives off. But like pickles on a burger, like,
because
it
they have like a
soaks
liquid that
into
comes.
the bun. You know what I mean? Like it becomes chemically a part of that burger. You can take the pickles off. You're still going to taste the pickles. So I get it. I really do.
And they're like camouflaged in with the
The
goddamn
lettuce and
shredded lettuce. So it's like I'll pick the pickles off, take a bite, and somehow the pickles are back. It's like, what happened? Because there's so many layers, and sometimes they fuck with you, and like, dude, I don't know, dude. It's a saw trap. It's like literally like,
You want to play a game?
and then the guy hands you a Big Mac and says,
You've lived your whole life eating Big Macs and never once have you consumed a pickle on purpose. Now is your time to atone for your sins. You need to take a bite of this Big Mac without checking for pickles, and you need to live with the consequences.
dude, Pickleback would have been a much better name for the pickle Big Mac saw trap than whatever drink you drank.
You want to play pickleback?
Oh my God.
Look at this pickleback.
Look at this Pickleback. Oh my God. Well, that's amazing. That is incredible.
this episode's a fever dream, dude.
It is. And I think, and we're only halfway through. But before we move on, I do want to take a second and thank the next sponsor of this episode that I need, which is BetterHelp.
Do you have trust issues because of McDonald's pickles?
No, but seriously, thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. If you've been around here for a while, you know that we've talked about them a lot. An online platform where you can get counseling or therapy. You can speak to a licensed therapist very quickly, very easily on their platform, and it's awesome. And especially around this time, like, dude, seasonal depression, just this time of year can really be a real thing for people. Like, and that ranges a lot from just like, it's just dark and cold all the time, and that's pretty brutal. But then also the fact that I know for a lot of people, the holidays are just like not a super fun time. And so, especially around this time of year, if you feel like you need to talk to somebody, which is largely the cathartic release that therapy is, just being able to talk to somebody, BetterHelp is a really awesome tool.
Yeah. I mean, like, just anecdotally, I've talked about this before because I've been with BetterHelp for multiple years now, and I feel like there's no better like advertisement for how meaningful and effective a platform like BetterHelp is than it wasn't long ago that I was real down, was not having a good time, in a bad place, mental health wise. And so were other members of my family. And I was literally just thinking 1 or 2 days ago about how, like, oh yeah, I'm through it. Like, I've gotten past it.
Yeah.
And how impossible it is when you're there. You just, when you're down and you feel that way, to feel like I'll never be happy again.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from this, whatever. And
For
to then making it through those hard times. Using therapy is massive, to then look back and be able to say, like, oh, I know where I was then, feeling so hopeless, and now I'm on the other side. I mean, it really is, like, legitimately life changing. And
For sure.
Like we said before, there's so many reasons why anybody of any walks of life, any age, gender, profession, any of these things, whether it's relationship problems, whether it's professional issues, whether it's self-esteem issues, having a platform like BetterHelp available for you to be able to get super affordable, accessible mental health counseling for any reason is just literally life-changing.
And it's and a lot of times I feel like the easiest thing to do is, just fill life with things to avoid talking. If you're busy, like, you know what I mean? That was like, I know for me, that was a huge thing. My mom passed away right after our son was born. I mean, immediately. So, like, obviously my life was full. And this happened like this week. The other day, I was talking to my wife, and I just, like, I spoke the word mom. I was just talking to her, and I was like, oh, back in the day, my mom. And I just broke down and started crying. And I was like, I haven't processed that You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I had
man.
the thought because I've just been so busy. You know, we had a kid and that was just life, you know, and I was like, and so that's, I feel like a lot of times we do that. It's just so easy to like just to pick up more hours, pick up more stuff. I don't want to have to think about this thing. And it can feel like you're okay. You're through it. You know what I mean? You're over a thing. Yep. And there really isn't a substitute for just processing it. And whether it's something super heavy like that or literally just like anxiety, stress, work, trouble, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, just having somebody to talk to is pretty profound, like V was saying. So you can visit betterhelp.com/podcast today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/podcast to get 10% off your first month. Thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Okay, what else do we have here?
Bro, I have a new like game dev hero.
Okay.
And I believe I say that and I'm like, I want to
my
get his name right. My
hero's name is
Daniel Mullins.
Daniel Mullins.
He is the guy that made Inscription.
Oh.
And I had said, remember there was the trailer for that game Pony Island that was real trippy.
Pony Island 2, right?
Pony Island 2. And I went and I played Pony Island the other day.
Oh, so there is a Pony Island?
There is a Pony Island.
Okay. I was assuming with how meta that trailer was that not it was a meme. Like my thought was like, you'll figure out what Pony Island 1 is through playing Pony Island 2. Like it'll reference a thing that doesn't really happen, but you know what I mean? I thought it was going to get like weird. Okay.
I mean, that would actually be like genius, just releasing a game that was like 2 that the sequel to nothing that existed.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna release DLC for a game that wasn't ever made.
Yeah,
just got paid DLC. But yeah, so I played it. I beat it in about 3 hours.
Okay.
Well worth the it was like $6 or something, I think. And yeah, almost 12,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews.
Oh,
it was released in 2016. It's just it like literally starts off with like Hello Kitty Island adventure looking little screen, and like literally the first thing I did was like open up the options menu, because normally I'll just go like turn the graphics up and whatever.
Yeah.
And like one of the first things I saw was like 10011011110 was like with a checkbox. I was like, and I pulled up MS Paint, and I just really quickly converted the binary, and it was like 666. Like, okay, this game is already a little bit weird.
What?
Then there was another checkbox that was like fix start menu, and then like I clicked it, and the thing went like the menu option like fell and broke in half, and I'm like, what the is going on? Like. And it starts, and it's just like a little pony. It's just a 2D, like Flappy Bird, just side scroller.
Okay.
And it's like a white line that's just like a fence, and it's like, bloop, bloop,
dude.
Bloop. And then like it gets more and more complicated and more meta. And I have to. I'm gonna spoil one tiny aspect of the game. If you haven't played it, go play it, and then come back to this. Because it's just too good for me not to talk about. At one point, you are... Eventually, you're talking to, like, basically Satan AI that is in control of, like, your soul, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Because that's what the game's about.
Okay.
And he's basically like, I need to make sure that you are paying attention. And he's like, remember, like, you need to remember this. And he gives you like a number, it's like 2314 or something like that. And then all of a sudden he starts talking, saying more stuff, and all of a sudden, you know how like Tarkov does this all the time. You're playing a game, and all of a sudden Premiere Pro does this all the time too, where suddenly like you're clicking, nothing's happening, your cursor turns to a spinner, and everything kind of fades out to white.
Yes.
And then you're like, and then you see the is not responding. I'm
like,
fuck, like the game just crashed in the middle, and I'm like about to click around, and I go to click, and all of a sudden it goes away. And the little AI 2D Satan guy on screen winks at you, and then the prompt is up for you to continue. So it's like I forgot to mention that like he talks to you for a little bit and says, okay, what was the number? And you enter 2, 3, 1, and then the game crashes.
Oh.
And you're sitting there like, oh, the little Windows pop-up comes up, and you like can move the box around. It faked you out into thinking the game crashed, and then it's like, did you remember? Another time it asks you, it basically says, I need to get to know you better, you know, or whatever. Tell me the most vile, disgusting thing that you can think of right now, and like pops up a thing. You type it in, I hit enter, and it's like, okay, you know, and then it continues on. And then all of a sudden, bloop, I get a message, a Steam message from one of my community members. His name's Obese Skydiver.
Uh-huh.
Bloop, a Steam message being like, what the bro? And he like repeats back what I said. He's like, really, dude? Like, what the? And I'm like, did the game just take the vile, disgusting thing and told me to tell it and
DM it?
Send it to, DM it to one of my friends? And it's like, bloop, like, bro, are you kidding? Are you trolling? Like, bloop, you know, and I'm like, oh my God. And then it pops up a few more times, and then I can tell it's starting to sound a lot more like the Satan AI. And it faked it just because those games have access to your Steam friends, so it can grab like the name and an avatar. So it faked those messages that were like, it didn't actually send it. But it had me thinking, and I'm wondering like, why is this guy?
God, bro.
And I'm wondering like, why is this guy not in my chat right now talking to me there? I almost opened up Steam to respond, like the Steam, but the game with you so many times, dude.
Oh my God.
And this is a game that starts off with a bloop, I'm a pony bloop, jumping over a thing.
Dude, that is like my nightmare. That's crazy.
That's why I've never been more excited for a game. Like Pony Island 2 is gonna my world, and I'm so excited for it, dude. I'm so excited because this guy is a genius. Inscription was genius. Like,
is he a one-man thing, or is he just like the head writer of the studio?
He's the developer and the publisher. Daniel Mullins Games. He's made Inscription. He made Pony Island, and he made another game that I'm going to buy and play soon, as soon as I'm like out of maps on Power Watch. The other called The Hex. That was made in 2018, and it's basically there's like 6 people. There's a restaurant or a bar, and there's 6 people in the bar, and they're all like they all are like different characters, like in different genres, like the fighter, the mage, the the whatever. And you are, I think, like the owner of the bar, and you get a phone call on this rainy night, and it's like someone in the bar is planning on killing someone tonight. Find out who it is. I think it's like a murder mystery kind of thing. But so you got to go, and I'm ready to that to my day up.
Dude, that.
But I love that.
Wild, bro.
Dude, it's just so inspiring. Like I love that. I love that.
The subverting of expectations and just like the creativity with which he does it. It
makes me want to like make an ARG. It makes me want to like put out a whole like I want to like hide messages in like my next 10 videos and have it be like a prize. You know, like if you figure it out, but now people are gonna go looking for it. I'm not gonna do it, or maybe I am gonna do it. And I just ruined like 7 people's lives. Because they're gonna like comb over all my videos and look for the messages. I mean, like Nostradamus. If you look at the timestamps, they correspond with like prime numbers, dude. And like if you look binary,
you'll find it.
It's the number 17, dude. And 7, like it has to be. I mean, how could it be anything like that's got to be meaningful? Like 17, bro. What does it mean?
You got a sick nice guy in the Sons of Soon on it.
Oh my God, yeah.
Bro, that is amazing. That is amazing, dude. That blows my mind. I would literally die at the Steam friend thing. Holy cow.
It was so good. It was so good.
That's
I just remember being
good.
Like, that now it just so happens that the that I said was Tarkov good because there was only so many characters. So he was like, "LOL, Tarkov good." Like, you must be trolling. You're like, what is that supposed to mean? Blah blah
Oh
blah.
my God.
But it
So
was
it
like
wasn't like, yeah.
I didn't say, like, Nikita did nothing wrong. I didn't say anything like that. But
Oh my God.
But like, I'm sure someone probably did if they weren't like live
Oh,
streaming. They
dude.
probably.
There was absolutely some people who like their heart stopped.
And you know what the funny thing is too? I mean, I always talk about this podcast, School Games Inc. One of the games they taught, it's like episode 2 of their podcast was they made a game called Cook for Cube.
Okay.
Where the joke that they talked about was basically like you start this, it's like a cooking simulator game where you start the game and it's like connect your Twitter account, whatever, and you get pretty far into the game where it's like you progress and you get like start unlocking like all these epic like Master Chef pots and all these cool knives and whatever, and then it's like it holds the pay to win thing in front of you like hovering above you, and then it's like you want to unlock this, like type some real up into this text box right here. And it's like, and then you put it into the box and then it effectively holds it over your head. And basically like you have to come back and play our game every single day. Otherwise we're going to tweet this out on your behalf. And it's obviously like fake. They design games. But they're like, well then, so we only need to design enough assets and enough content in the game to get you to that point. Then we have you by the balls, and every frame of the game, it's 60 FPS, but every other frame is an ad. And the wheels can fall off, all the graphics go away, and it's just a cube. Now, like Gordon Ramsay was the guy who was like in charge, and now it's like now it's just a cube that you have to cook for, and by that I mean watch ads for, because we've got you by the balls, and so
that's hilarious.
Holy. This guy like basically made Cook for Cube.
Yo, seriously.
Some real ding dong shit into this text box, and we're gonna tweet it out.
That's wild. That is insane.
Can't wait for Pony Island, dude.
Is there a release date?
That was the one that had like 2005, 2006, like glitching back and forth.
Oh, that's right.
So it's probably gonna be a while.
That's brutal. That is brutal. But yeah.
Oh, but I bet you it'll last. I bet you it'll last in the store longer than another game.
Dude,
I'm so sad I didn't get a chance to buy the day before.
Dude, the day before. And it's so funny because we had just posted our podcast where you were like, listen, I'm kind of excited to play it because I hope it's good. I hope it, everyone was wrong. And I was like, listen, dude, games have launched in worse states. Let's see how she goes. And dude, scummazed, bro. So we'll read the message because it's unreal. So it was 4 days, I think, between 4 and 6 days after the launch of this game, which once again was supposed to come out, I think 2 years ago. And then it got delayed and they kept working on it and it got delayed and they kept working on it and it got delayed and they kept working on it. Today we announced the closure of Fantastic Studio. Unfortunately, the day before has failed financially and we lack the funds to continue. All income received is being used to pay off debts to our partners. We invested all of our time and effort. We apologize we didn't meet your expectations. We did everything within our power, but unfortunately we miscalculated our capabilities. Yada, yada, yada. Dunzo. Bro. That was just unreal on so many levels. To just say we're taking the money to pay off our debts was just wild, in my opinion. And, like, so many people by early access game standards bought the day before. Like, so many people. They had, I think, almost 40,000 peak concurrent players at one point, which is obviously at...
How much was the game?
$40, $45. Somewhere between...
So they made like a, almost a couple $1 million.
Yeah, because 40,000 concurrent is, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Assuredly 4x that in sales at least, right? You had huge content creators, which, like we said earlier, you made the joke, no, press is bad press. Like, if huge content creators make videos about a game, even if they're like, this sucks, like, people are still buying the game. It's still people like, oh, that looks interesting, or people buying it just for the memes. Dude, unbelievable how quickly, dude, 4 days.
Doesn't make any sense to
financial failure, they said. The number one most wishlisted game on Steam at one point. They sold tens of thousands, if not nearly 100,000, 209,000 sales. What's 209,000 times $40?
8 million, over 8 million.
Commercial failure, like, for an indie game. Once again, like, this wasn't Call of Duty, right? This is an indie game. How many indie studios would kill to have 30,000, 40,000 people concurrently playing their game?
It's so weird. It's like, here's the thing. Like, it obviously screams like scam.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out, like, what was the scam? Because they
got no money.
No, I don't know if we're, like, sure of that. Well, I know, like, that's what people are saying. Because, like, Steam refund, but, like, so then again, like, what's the scam then?
They're so bad at scamming people that they scam themselves.
Scamming investors, maybe. I mean, so maybe the whole thing was hoodwinking,
like, from
investors.
The Fantastic side. They borrowed a bunch of money. Now they don't have those money to pay off those debts, they said, but they made it look like they were trying to pay off the debts. They're going to close, declare bankruptcy, and not pay off those debts. Maybe.
Now, you know what? Actually, so this is something that was, like, relevant to one of my jobs back in the day, and that, like, one of the things I kind of heard or was talked about was because I worked for a startup, and it was, like, sold to, like, everybody how this was, like, going to be the future, blah blah blah, all this stuff. And it was interesting. It was an interesting idea. I was working there not because I thought that it was, like, an amazing idea, but at least it was, like, an interesting product. But one of the things that was, like, I learned more and more that a few of the people I worked with were like, this guy has a pattern of having these startups raising tons of money, paying himself a massive salary, all these benefits of having a really nice office, having, like, a rental car that was, like, not rental, but, like, lease from the company. And you do that for a couple of years, and you just keep getting more money from investors. And then, like, it doesn't work out. And then you, like, get out and then, like, start a new thing. And it, like, could very well be that he was, like, scamming the people.
For sure.
Assuming there were investors and it was funded in that way. Again, I don't know.
I don't know either, but it seems like too fishy and intelligent to be incompetence. You know what I mean? Like, because I almost agree with you, where it's like, who got scammed here? Like, it's weird.
You think they would Google, like, when do we get paid?
Yeah.
Do we get paid
exactly.
the day of the sale?
That's exactly it. Like, it feels too fishy, too, like, weird. Because 4 days, I mean, like, that's insane. Nobody, dude, they spent, like, I mean, supposedly, like, 5 years working on this game. Unless they sold 22 copies of the game, nobody would call it quits after 4 days. That's crazy if you spent that much time.
No, it's like they knew
before
like
they
the one thing I'm
launch.
sure of is that they knew way before that they were just going to cut and run. So the question is why?
But what's crazy is they did updates every single day. Like, huge marketable updates on, like, the desync was crazy, and Landmark or Desmond or Hutch were like, it's a lot better today. And that could just be, I guess, less people playing, but they were dropping updates almost every single day. It was crazy. So, Mytona, which is, like, an investor in the day before, tweeted out, we're basically going to set it up so you can get refund no matter how much you played. Because the Steam thing is, like, if you played less than 2 hours, you can submit a refund, but they were refunding everybody. Then Fantastic tweeted, answer to those who asked for a refund. Mytona, we're currently working with Steam to allow refunds for any player who requests one. Fantastic received $0 and will receive nothing from the day before sales. Fantastic tweet to that.
The corporation, but I wonder
yeah.
if the guy, you know, maybe the guy paid himself 180K a year.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm just saying earlier you were like, are we sure that everybody's getting refunds? We are, like, because Steam, they pay on net 30. So like Steam still had all the money. So, you know, they cut it 4 days in, and then they were like, basically they're allowing refunds for everybody no matter how much of the game you played. But dude, it was just crazy. It was crazy. Oh, and then immediately, so they have made other games and actually have a history of abandoning games. So they released a game called The Wild 8, and then they stopped supporting that. Dead Dozen, Radiant One, Prop Night is probably their most famous game. All of the other games that they've made that are on Steam immediately like changed to like other companies. Now they're listed under other companies, and they were all different companies. So it's not like all of the fantastic games are now this other company. Like they were each now changed to individually other companies. Dude, it was just like,
I want to know, like, I don't know the names. I haven't Googled any of this stuff. But like, there's got to be, no, they're Russian. I wonder what kind of like transparency there is with like headquarters in Singapore.
Yeah, it's all over
founders. I would be interested to know like what their salaries were.
Yeah,
they like, because it makes perfect sense if they had cushy jobs, like real cushy, because then they can just fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
you know, like I'm not a game developer, but you give me 5 years, well, I could come out with an actual game in 5 years.
Yeah,
going from not a game developer, I could make a better thing than them, and they're game developers. So
yeah,
that's a bad example.
And so like people are saying there was apparently an interview with a former Fantastic employee that sounded like the devs that were there were really trying to make a game, but the two brothers in leadership were doing wild stuff and kicking anyone off who complained. Somebody else said that there was like a GIF dump of GIFs of like in-engine features that were supposed to make it into the game but never made it in, but like had obviously been worked on because they were in engine and in with the game's assets that never made it in. So it's sounding more and more like that. Like they hired a bunch of people. Those people were actually trying to make a video game. They had no intention of doing that. They were trying to raise money and scam people. And this is what happened. Because it's crazy. Because like, to talk about it being a financial failure and they need all this money. Some of the stuff, some of the videos they released where it's like an update on the day before, they were showing off how many of their employees were volunteers. Like it was like something they were bragging about. Like we have so many people volunteering to work on this game and help us make assets and stuff. And I'm like, dude, who are you paying then?
It's a bunch of 11-year-old Singapore boys like in a sweatshop.
Dude.
They just show Fiverr.com's web like homepage.
And it sucks because if there were real people that worked on this game, that feels brutal that like you actually tried to make something. It sucks because it's obviously a genre and a game. Like, it's crazy because, like, how many survival games, zombie games have there been over the past years? Hundreds, right? This one made it to the most wishlisted game on Steam at one point. Like, it looked cool. It looked modern in a modern engine. They really, like, their initial marketing hit the nail on the head of a game people want to make. It's crazy that, like, how has nobody really made this? Like, how is DayZ? DayZ's an awesome game, but how is that still, like, the king? It's just for so long. I've been like, how has somebody not just like made this? And the game that actually gets closest was a scam. Dude, it blows my actual mind. Did you see what DayZ posted on that day?
No, what, on their Twitter?
Dude, DayZ posted an exact white background, black text. Today, we want to primarily celebrate, for no reason at all, the remarkable 10th anniversary of DayZ. It is with immense gratitude we commemorate a decade of passion, creativity, unwavering support. It is a milestone moment. And then they started using a bunch of the verbiage that was used to describe the day before. MMO experience, captivated audiences worldwide, open world survival masterpiece, enriched with the years of dedication. Dude.
DayZ dead game cross.
Yes. And then Rust, the official Rust Twitter account, just screenshotted the DayZ one and scratched out anywhere it said DayZ and just wrote Rust over it.
That's pretty funny.
Dude. Oh my God. And then scratched out the DayZ team and wrote Rust. Dude, it was so funny. Like the whole dude.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
The rest of the scratch out 1.8 wrote vehicle over 1.8.
Dude.
Oh, that's funny, dude.
So good. So good. So like the memes, the memes were strong, but like,
And then the scum Twitter
yeah,
responded with the Michael Jackson eating
popcorn.
fucking the popcorn meme, and then Rust responded with a your turn. Oh, this is funny.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Daisy. Oh, Jesus, dude.
So like it was definitely good memes, but like dude, it just is truly mind bending how how it got so far and how seemingly with no intention of making a video game at all, it still wasn't the worst early access release. Like Dead Matter was so much worse.
See, that's what blows my mind.
That's what
is
blows
that,
my
like,
mind, bro.
so like I eventually went back and watched a couple like reviews, and like, and this both simultaneously, like I hate like every aspect of this from like all sides, because like IGN released a review and it's like, 1 out of 10 or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And like part of me was like, okay, yeah, but you gave Starfield's at like an 8 point whatever,
I thought it was like a 10.
But then also like, some people that I generally like respect their opinions about stuff and whatever,
Yeah.
were saying like, oh, the game is like, it's actually really good, so I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. And then like I watch it and I'm like, it looks terrible, and then a day later it goes off the store and it's like, okay, well then it definitely was a scam. And then I watch other clips that where the game's like completely and utterly broken, like,
yeah.
so I'm like,
when it was working decently, like if you got on a lower pop server, like I think because guys like Desmond played it almost exclusively those 4 days, and I respect Desmond's opinion a lot. Landmark played it a lot, Glorious played it a lot, Willers played it a lot, Sacriel played it a lot, Hutch played it a lot. And when I popped in when Sacriel, Hutch, and Clean were playing, and Sacriel hit the nail on the head of like they and kind of pseudo us, some gamers, just miss having like a fun survival game to play with the homies. And
I'm convinced if you make a multiplayer game, you give guns and you just walk up to things and hit F on them and it goes bing, and then you just have something go and follow you around. That no, it doesn't matter. People will just say it's fun.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that like there was the genre works and is still fun. And the real games that have come out in the genre have either missed the mark or overcomplicated the genre. But like it's just crazy because like it shows you, if you just track from like what they originally marketed the game as and how much hype there was for it, if somebody just makes that game, now it's not that simple, just make that game, obviously, but there's desire for it. Like, you know what I mean? There were a lot of streamers spending a lot of time playing that game, the game as it launched, you know what I mean? So I think it shows that genre is not dead, but it just needs new life breathed into it. And I get it. I mean, like, I don't know. Something, it's I really need you to watch this video. Did you ever watch that? It was a Patreon episode, content request, and it was The Cursed Judge, and it was the video like why, like the day PUBG died or something like that.
No.
Oh my God. I'm gonna send you this video. Please watch it. It's not that long. It is a 1-to-1 analog for Escape from Tarkov. And it's like the jaded boomer Tarkov, like old Tarkov opinion. You know what I mean? So it's like if we said this on stream, people would be like, oh my God. It's not that long. It's 20 minutes. But like,
I think I watched like the first.
You watched like 10
seconds.
seconds of it while we were live, and then you were like, "Oh my God, I need to watch this!" Like, it's fascinating. It is a literal 1-to-1 analog. Yeah, I'll link it in chat. It's a great video, for like an interesting Tarkov perspective and everything. But it's largely about the pace. And how
oh yeah, I remember this conversation.
When the pace of PUBG picked up and when it became about like how many kills can I get, he posits that it killed the spirit of the game because it was I was telling you about this because he was like, it was about the stress in the slow, you know what I mean? And I think that the emotion, the feeling of that is why survival games still get people excited.
Yeah.
Because everything else has become, just like how many kills can I get? How quick can I get to meta? How this, that, and the other. And like a new survival game, briefly, there's just like, you're just wandering and you don't know, and everything's hard to find and everything's hard to get. And just like, I really do, not everybody, obviously, not everyone likes that, but I think a lot of gamers like that and want it. Now, the complete flip side of that have you seen any gameplay of the finals? We talked about it a little bit because they had been doing beta tests several times over the past like year or two. So I played it a long time ago, and I think I mentioned it on the podcast. But have you?
I haven't seen any gameplay of it. I kind of just decided like a while ago I wasn't interested. Although it's like one of those things
It's understandable.
I'm sure there's a threshold where if enough people said enough interesting things that was new about it, not just like it's a cool game that has like really cool destructive physics. Like I've never given a about any of that. So but there's a world in which like I suddenly become interested in the game. But yeah, so far I've kind of tuned out from
for
it.
Sure.
But willing to hear more about it for sure.
It's so much fun. I mean, it is like, it's so funny. People were like, "Oh my god, this is too chaotic." Like a bunch of people in my chat, because I was playing it the other day, and I was playing it when Tarkov was down. I love it because it is the antithesis of Escape from Tarkov. like, does that make sense? Like people are like, "Oh, I don't like this. It's too far away. Like it's too unrealistic, or it's too whatever." And I'm just so exhausted with those themes of thinking it has to be realistic, thinking it has to be this, thinking it has to be that like this game is just like a complete rejection of that. It is Zoomer adrenaline fueled, cocaine sniffing acid trip, the video game with a gun. And it's so much fun, dude. There's no fall damage. Traversal is unreal. It's from a bunch of old original Battlefield devs. So every single part of the entire map is destructible. Every building, every wall, every floor, everything is destructible. It's got this really interesting, like their kind of core loop is all about like cashing out. It's like a game show. And so like they have a bunch of different game modes around finding like loot things and then depositing them in these cash registers and then defending the cash registers to like bank your money, and then like the person who wins has the money. And there's a ranked mode, and then there's like this weird tournament system where it's almost got a bit like of like a BR, and it's like multiple rounds where teams continue to get eliminated, and it's teams of 3. It's your classic like light, medium, heavy. There's weapons each class can use. There's a bunch of like utility things that each class can use, a bunch of skills each class can use, and there's an unbelievable amount of synergies between, do you want to run 3 heavies? Do you want to run 2 heavies and a medium? Want to run 3 lights? And there's all sorts of different like the skill ceiling is just like enormous. Like however deep you wanted to go into it, you could, but it is just fun. It is like pure distilled entertaining fun shooter game. The time to kill is like 3 business days, dude. I'm telling you, it is the rejection of all things
spongy,
of all things realistic, and I love it. I love it so much. Like, and I know it's not for everybody. I totally understand that. The time to kill is so high, but once again, it's just like, I think in a different time of my life I wouldn't like the finals. But just playing 7,000 hours of Escape from Tarkov and just like getting one tapped all the time, it just feels so good to like be able to move at 100% of my movement speed while getting shot, to be able to get shot and not immediately die, to be able to like completely traverse the map and just like use skill to completely turn a fight on somebody if you get the best of them. You know what I mean? Dude. It's so much fun. I mean, I get it. I mean, it is literal, like, it is an acid trip to, like, watch combat, especially when everybody's on the point, when the whole team is on the point, and just, like, the level is being destroyed. But, bro, like, one of these days, like, especially if Arena doesn't come out for a while, like, Yumi and Seal or Yumi and Dez or something should, like, hop on for a little bit. It's just...
I'll give it a try. It looks fun.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's just, like... I would never main that game, you know what I mean? But just like,
Yeah, there's
Holy,
not enough cocaine this side of the.
for real.
Yeah, so like usually when I see games like this and I'm not interested, a lot of it comes down to the fact that like it has like one or two more mechanics than I give a fuck about.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Like, like you want to jump into the game, you have to learn the armor system, the different guns, the tiers. There's the all of the different like grenades.
Yeah.
There's the maps. Then you also have to know about like the meta around like where you get the money. What's the money? The cash out system. Where do you? There's just like one or two too many elements where it's like get rid of the cash out, and like I'm suddenly interested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
it's
sure.
like I end up playing. It was like when I played Fortnite back in the day.
Yeah.
Before there was no build, I'm like, I just don't want to build.
Yeah.
And it's not, but they're designed with that in mind. So when you don't build, you're just at a disadvantage.
For sure.
So I'm like, I just don't care to learn. It was the same thing with Rainbow Six. I don't want to f around with DVD players on RC cars and putting up metal on windows. Like I just want to kill things. You know what I mean?
I get that for sure.
So that's what turned me off, I guess.
That makes sense.
Whenever I see these things, I'm like, oh, I'm too.
It's as but the thing is like it's a bit more accessible than it seems. I played 2 days because I played with Seal. We had planned to play, and then the next day Tarkov went down, so I played basically 2 days in a row for several hours each time. That entire time, the like 6 or 7 hours I played, I never changed anything on my kit. I used one gun. I only played medium, and we were winning. Like we were winning a bunch of the rounds. Do you go in with a
loadout, or is it what you find like RNG?
You go in with a loadout. So what's interesting is you have so you have
that removes one of the elements of like I don't have to know where the good stuff is and what the good stuff is.
You have like a Q ability you can use. You have a main weapon. You have a grenade. You have like a utility. Like I had a jump pad and then something else. And then what you have is there's a reserve. So because the games are like multiple rounds, there's 4 slots where you can pick like 4 different things, either different utilities or different weapons or whatever. And when you die while you're in the game before you respawn, you can swap anything with anything in your reserve. So you don't have access to everything, but like if you go into the game and you're like, dude, these guys are sniping, you could swap to a different utility grenade or whatever you have in your reserve. So there's a little bit of based on how this round is going, I want to switch up my loadout, but you don't have everything at your disposal at all times. But literally, I just used the AK the entire time on medium, the whole time I played, and it was so fun.
And it is a BR. So like, if your whole team dies, then you just start a fresh new game.
It's so that there's like quick play modes, and then there's a tournament mode. What tournament like is like almost a BR-esque thing, where like tournament mode, it's like 4 teams playing a game that you're not in, and you're in this game. And then the 2 teams that come in first and second will then progress, and then they'll fight it out. And then if you win that or come in second place, you 1v1 a whole game of cash out. So it's like a
BR inside of a BR.
Yeah, it's like tournament. A meta one where like it's an arena shooter where when you die you can respawn. But in tournament mode, it's like the stakes are in between a Call of Duty match and a BR, where you want to win because you want to progress and like win the tournament. And it's also cool because in the tournament mode, if you're getting the cash, and that's how it is, you try to win by getting the most cash deposited. If you get team wiped, you lose 30% of your cash. So in the tournament mode, it's so much more like if 2 of you die, the other one, your strategy might shift. You might actually run away and wait for them to respawn because you don't want to get team wiped. If you get team wiped, that's when the money goes. So it's like a fascinating, it's not a BR, but it just, I guess that's the best way that I describe increasing the stakes on an arena shooter, because it's more than just one round and you can get eliminated. But if you don't really think about it that way, you can just think of it. But you don't even have to play the tournament round. You can play the quick play rounds, and there's like a ranked one. And it
seems like an interesting way around, like, one of the downsides to playing like squad BRs is if you're the guy that dies in the beginning, you just sit there and spectate, like it seems like it's more accessible
exactly
from that perspective.
Everybody,
it looks like the 3-man squads.
Yep, 3-man squads. Everybody,
that's such a good number, dude, because 4 is so annoying.
Yeah, like, 3 is really
sometimes
nice.
It's so hard to find 4 that you just end up with 3 and then you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
and then 3 is a good size.
And just the time to kill is so fun because it prioritizes sticking together. I personally don't like playing games where the skill ceiling can get so high that the 3-man squad can just split and each of them can just dominate other 3-man squads. It's really hard to 1v3 in this game. So even though there's a high
because
skill,
of the TTK.
yes. So even though there's a high skill ceiling and you really can master this game and be so much objectively better than me, it's still prioritizes staying closer to your squads, because team shooting a heavy, like if you're a light, you can't 1v1 a heavy unless they're just like whiffing the ball, right? So it prioritizes
I just saw this guy with like an
shooting.
MP5 empty an entire mag. Every bullet hit the dude, and he had to like get behind cover and reload and have his buddies. Yeah.
So like good comms, good communication, good accuracy, good team fighting, and like the more I played it, the more I was just like, oh my god, like I want to play more of this game. It was just fun, and it's free to play.
I'll give it a try.
Made
for sure.
by Battlefield devs, like yeah, it was just a good time.
See, and this is all about the timing of like game recommendations.
Yeah,
like enough people have been asking me about Factorio, and I've been Factorio and Satisfactory are two games that people have been saying for years that I should play. Every time I watch them, I'm like, and then all of a sudden in the last like 48 hours, I've suddenly been like, I think when I'm done with Power Wash them, I want to play
Factorio. Yeah,
but the problem is that if tomorrow Arena comes out, it's like if I were to go play Factorio today, I have a feeling that I'll either never play it again or I wouldn't even play Arena, because like that type of game that I would be so into that I wouldn't. It was kind of like Diablo. I was really into Diablo that like when the wipe happened, I'm like, I don't give a so like the timing of it is off, and then maybe later on I just won't play Satisfactory again or Factorio,
that makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
Because I would have gotten into Arena, I played that for like a month, and then lost the interest I had.
Yeah.
So, it's like
for sure. That makes sense. But yeah, I mean, maybe over the next few days, if Arena like doesn't come out this weekend, and if we're both streaming or something, and we can find a third, maybe we do that for like an hour or two. It's just fun. It's like and like I said, I've been gushing over it for 20 minutes, but I'm probably gonna play less than 20 hours of it total, right? Because like I just don't have the time to like play a game every day for a few hours off. But like it was just cool to see. It weirdly just escaped the toxic shooter thing, because it's not like if a new Battlefield comes out, it's like Bad Company was peak Battlefield, Battlefield 4 was peak Battlefield. This isn't Battlefield. Why are they trying to reiterate on Battlefield? We just want more of old Battlefield. The Call of Duty comes out, right? Oh my God, just give me Rebirth Island back. Caldera. Like, I don't even know what any of these words mean, but I just hear everything regurgitated. But everything is every new game. Halo Infinite, Battlefield 76, Call of Duty 132. And like the guys that made all of the Battlefields that are in contention for the best Battlefields of all time just were like, we're going to make this other game. And then they just released it at the Game Awards. And like, it's just like, oh my God, this is so much fun. You know what I mean? And so it just kind of missed out on some of the toxicity. It's just like, if you don't like it, that's fine. But it just kind of came out, and it's always a good thing when good games are good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just a good thing when games are good. It's free. The cosmetics and the battle pass and the cash shop is only cosmetic. There's no like extra guns or abilities. It's just like good game, but
GG,
good game. But yeah, that's it. That is the gaming news. We were really hoping to be recording this podcast today in between arena matches. We'll see. I don't know. Hopefully, once again, by the time you hear this on today -4 or +5, I don't remember the meme we were doing earlier. The arena will be out, and we're all having fun singing Kumbaya. Oh, that was the other thing, man. It's like just freaking never mind. It's just arena. It's making me lose my mind, dude. It's making me lose my mind. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging. We appreciate it. Thank you to HelloFresh and BetterHelp for sponsoring the episodes. And if you want more content like this, you can go to patreon.com/thepodcastpod for more content like this. We are sorry this week we weren't able to record an extra episode.
My bad.
Listen,
hey, listen. Literally yesterday, closed on my grandmother's house.
Nice.
Big, massive weight off my shoulders.
That's huge. Yeah.
And I saved. Remember how I was about how it was gonna be like $6,000?
Yes.
Ended up being like $1,500 cheaper.
Hey.
So I only got like elbow deep fisted rather than shoulder deep. But yeah,
point, you'll take every inch you can get, you know. Or every inch off.
Sure.
Anyways, so we are sorry about that, and I mean, yeah, you say it's your fault. It's my fault that I don't have a single other hour to offer you. You know what I mean? Like, so it's our fault that it didn't happen this week. But we will be back with that, and we do that weekly. We are really good about it normally. We just had this one weird week. If you want more content, more podcast content, you can go to patreon.com/thepodcastpod. Thank you guys for hanging, and we will definitely see y'all in the next one. Peace.